everyone, Jason here again from SwellSchool. So we'll be looking at chapter 2 today of exploring diversity of matter. In chapter 1 we looked at the physical properties of things and how we can use that to classify things. In this chapter we'll be looking at chemical compositions of materials, so a little bit under the hood compared to in the previous chapter. We'll be looking at how the things around us can be broken down into elements, compounds, and mixtures. So we'll have to, by the end of the chapter, you'll have to understand and grasp what these three words mean. Don't worry, I've selected some cool videos as usual. So please go through them, watch these short videos. They're all pretty interesting. I chose them because they were interesting. And after watching them, you should come to understand what these words mean. I really enjoyed this one here, the periodic table, Crash Course Chemistry, and the cool story of Mr. Mendeleev and what his mom had to go through to get him through university. So he was the one that came up with the periodic table, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it as much as I did. So, as I said earlier, these will be a few definitions that you will have to remember as you go through this course. Well, after you watch the videos and after you go through the lessons in school, the definition should come to you as second nature. It should be pretty simple. Have a look at these two videos here, telling you the differences between a mixture and a compound, and also the differences between solutes, solvents, and solutions. I love these videos because they're not only very informative, but that accent just makes me want to watch these videos again and again and again. So enjoy, keep a smile on your face when you watch them, just like how I always have a smile on my face as I watch these videos again and again. And yeah, at the end of the topic, the essential takeaways will be for us to understand how getting a grasp of the chemical compositions allow us to become better at doing things like recycling and reusing of certain scarce materials. Okay? Chemical compositions help us when we want to do separation of these materials from waste streams, for example. And yeah, it's very important for us to understand the chemical properties of materials before we decide how to use them. So just like in the previous chapter, we discussed how plastics might be good for certain use cases where you need strength and lightness, but maybe it's not so good when you think about the environmental impact that plastics might have on the environment after it turns into waste, right? The same thing goes with chemical compositions. So I've actually linked a scandal from the past when milk powder companies decided to use melamine as a additive in the milk powder, which resulted in many young infants getting poisoned. So this is an example of how chemical compositions were not properly thought about before they were before materials were being used. So I've linked the report here. Have a read. So just keep that in mind, that not only do physical properties have to make sense when we choose what we want to use, which materials we want to use, but also the chemical compositions are very, very important. Okay, and lastly, I've selected a cool video here from Germany talking about how the German industry uses recycling to a very, very let's say in-depth level. So I've lived in Germany for 5 years, and I've seen how they really take recycling and reusing of materials to the next level, right? So this video, it's kind of a long one, it's a documentary, but you might find it interesting. They show you how they use things like physical and chemical properties to do separation, and then being able to reuse materials again and again, right? Reducing the environmental impact of the way we live our lives. All right, so I think that's it for this chapter. As usual, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you've found some other videos that you think might be interesting that I can share with the rest of you. And enjoy exploring diversity via chemical compositions.